but they pick up really good on the sound. Get that back there. And sound has been one thing that's been fighting me. So I got one of the Rode Videocasters that switches the cameras and runs all the wires through and all that stuff. And I was going to have that tonight, so it automatically switches. So if I'm talking, it goes to me, and then the camera will switch to you, kind of thing. Can't find the damn power cable.
Of course.
Gone through everything. Got everything else I need except the power cables.
Go figure. And Blackfoot, Idaho has so much resources for something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few other Rode things, but the power, they're USB-C plugins, but the power is not compatible. Different blocks. Yes, it's on and recording. So
There you go.
We're getting too far in this.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. There's a guy that wants to come do like a podcast interview on Friday.
Okay.
What time will that venue be open for us to get into?
4. Yep.
It starts at 7.
6:30. Do you have something to drink?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You
And
should.
that's not just for you.
Oh, yeah, that's for us. You should know what time this starts. I'm just. That's a good idea. I'm going to wipe my nose too. I'm sure it has.
Well, so the flow is going to be pretty simple. So we've got a guy that's going to be, I forget his name, solo, acoustic guitar. He's going to play for 15, 20 minutes as people are coming in, dinner's being served. Then the Shack Owls, they're going to play 30 to 40 minute set. And then we're going to do presentations, talk about a few things, ask people, hey, give us money. And then you guys will play. And once you're done playing, then we'll pack up and go. So I don't know if Jared talked to you about this. We're actually opening up the little front area that goes out onto Park and setting up signs and stuff so people can come in for a few minutes, listen. But ticketed customers will be in the back in the VIP area, and then that way the drunks coming in and off and on from the street will get to bid on silent auction items and kind of see what we're doing. So, yeah, and we've got a lot of stuff in the windows already, and people are stopping by looking at everything that we've got, so it's pretty cool.
Good.
And we're going to put the Enfield in tomorrow inside the building. Yeah, it'll be a good time. All right, so when we start, every ringer's off, please.
Mine's off. It might vibrate. Do you want me to I can power it off. I don't care.
Yeah, if you would. I'm going to power mine off.
Nothing on Sunday should be that important.
Right.
My daughter just asked for all of my extra lotions and perfumes in the basement, but
Power off.
It doesn't want to
Power
turn
off.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, that last update. I have to talk to my phone to get it shut off these days.
Mine won't call. Like the Hey Siri won't work. It's making me irritated. But
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, so as we talk, we'll do introductions. I'll introduce myself. You can introduce yourself. And then I'll start. I'll say what my experience was, kind of how I got here, some of the things that have put me into the position that we're in. And then you can share as much as you want. And then we'll just kind of roll into it. Whatever you feel you want to say, anything you don't want to talk about, we can just move on. If you're sitting like that, if you want to move on, just tap the bottom of your foot. And then it's an easy one.
Yeah.
Here's your sign.
Here's your sign. Yeah. And then once we're done with this, then we'll talk with Aaron and Sarah. I think this is going to work well with these mics because it was picking you up really well. So if we're all sitting side by side, it'll be
work.
fine.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, so I guess I should look at the camera for the introduction. Let me move this just a little bit. Sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. I'm okay.
Constantly fidgeting with cameras and stuff, getting this. I try not to have too much stuff that I have to edit, because if I wind up editing it...
That's exhausting in my opinion. I don't want to edit.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to PTSD Stories. I'm Ken from Heroes Diving for the Sea, and I have Jenny Ball with me tonight. And this is going to be our first episode that we're actually going to launch out on our YouTube channel. So this is the format that we're going to use. We want everybody to feel comfortable with what we're doing. And if you want to share your story, reach out to us at Heroes Diving for the Sea. So admin@heroesdivingforthesea.org, and we will get you scheduled for a conversation. And we can do it remotely or we can do it in person. So background on me, I am an Army veteran. I started out working with search and rescue when I was 14 years old, and I made my first find at 14 years old. Fortunately, that first one was alive. My next one was a few months later and not so much alive. At 18 years old, I joined the Army. I actually ran away from home. I cut school and went and enlisted in the Army on my 18th birthday because my parents would not sign the release. From there, I spent quite a few different tours on active duty throughout my younger 20s. I got married pretty young, in my earlier 20s. And so the search and rescue stuff has kind of been something I've done more or less. It kind of comes and goes. But part of my Army career, I was in the Abrams tanks, and they're massive. And so you're always hitting your head on stuff. But one of the things that the first time I remember smacking my head hard was I was walking under one of them, and I hit my head right on the gun tube.
Oh, jeez.
And I remember my eyes they were twinkly and sparkly in front of me as I was trying to figure out what happened there. And then I went on several tours in combat zones and didn't have anything happen to me, not a scratch. My last tour in 2008, 2009, I was shot, I was stabbed, and I was blown up, all in a 90-day period of time. So what I remember about my first real severe traumatic brain injury was that IED blast. We were construction engineers pulling into an area where we were fixing blast craters from previous IEDs. And so as I got in there, we pulled on top of an IED, didn't know it was there. It went off. I don't remember anything right when it happened. I have no memory of it. What started to come back is kind of fuzzy. I remember seeing my gunner laying in an irrigation canal, and the water over there is really dark. And it's like chocolate milk dark. And all we saw was this part of him up,
Right.
and we thought he'd been blown in half. And I remember going over, I still could hardly hear anything. My vision was still blurry, and it may have been me, it may have been one of the other guys grabbed him, pulled him out of the water,
I can
and
see it.
we could see that he was there, he was intact. I actually talked to him about 2 weeks ago. He's still alive and kicking, and he's going to do one of these videos with us too. But so yeah, in the military, you never know. Is walking through the motor pool, hitting your head on a gun tube, or getting hit by an IED.
Right.
It's very random. People can get injured in any number of ways. And for me, what I found is when I came back, I didn't realize how much I had changed.
Right.
And my wife brought it up. I noticed my kids were behaving differently around me. One of the things that just became part of our lives was anytime at night, if I was up and awake and walking around, nobody snuck up on me. You announce your presence. And my wife still does that to this day. She doesn't come around me while I'm asleep because I swing,
Right.
and I don't even realize it. Same thing with getting out of bed. Yeah, I can't remember the last time she touched me to wake me up.
Right. 'Cause
So my challenge over the years has been trying to find ways to cope, and which is one of the reasons we're here talking about the scuba part of things. But we don't always understand how much we've changed. The people around us typically do first. And I think it was you and I were having this conversation talking about we don't get to be who we used to be.
Why? Yes, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're different. We know we
Yeah.
are.
And it's not fair. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to our families.
No, yeah. It's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since we can't be who we used to be, how do we survive?
Right.
So you want to share a little bit about your background and
Sure. Well, you were talking about the diving stuff here a minute ago, and I did want to say I have an uncle who had a very traumatic brain injury on a dirt bike, and I'm sure had other brain injuries, but that one was pretty traumatic. A bleed. They were worried he wasn't going to live, but he also did search and rescue, and he was a scuba search and rescue, and I just thought, I wonder if there was a little bit of therapy for him there too, because he loved even the search and rescue of finding the unfortunate findings. He still loved what he did. So I wondered if maybe there was some therapeutic for him. Anyway, so I'm Jenny Ball. I had a MVA in 2021, a frontal bleed with some fractures. Had to have a cervical fusion. Have been in the medical field for 23 years now. Yeah, wow, 23 years. Lots of understanding of physiology and everything, but I'd never really dealt with the aftermath of a traumatic brain injury. And coming out of it, I had a little bit of warning, but nobody really understands them. The bleed was probably the most traumatic thing. While the neck pain is annoying or whatever, I have ankylosing spondylitis. It's an autoimmune condition. My neck pain was there before. But the brain bleed, the frontal brain injury was a big deal. And then the memory impairment. There's a lot of, my poor husband had to retell stories or plans or whatever many times. And the emotional regulation. I was not okay. And like you said, I don't think I knew it. I know my husband had to point it out several times that you're not regulating correctly. And I don't know, my trauma wasn't, there's not a lot of PTSD for me. I have an early marriage that was, it wasn't the best marriage, right? Like,
Right.
we were bombs going off together, but there's not enough PTSD there for me to really, but the brain injury that was something that changed me. And I don't even know how to even talk about it. Like I said, like the memory impairment was a big deal, the emotional dysregulation. I started my nurse practitioner program. I was in the accident in June of 2021, and I started my nurse practitioner program in September of 2021, which was the best thing I could have done. If I hadn't have done that, I think my memory would still be drastically impaired, and that it is. I've gone from being someone that knows every patient I've seen and what I've seen them for to having to review the chart, look at their picture, and refresh my memory. And that actually probably is one of my biggest frustrations is like, I used to have this ironclad memory but again, we coped, and honestly, the nurse practitioner program was one of the right coping mechanisms. So, I don't know how much my family adapted. I'm sure they did. Most of the kids had moved out, mostly, like they were all adults, and so there wasn't a lot of them having to deal with a ton of me. But they all have said I'm different. Like, I know that, everybody, but I don't fully understand to this day what it's done. And
Sure.
I have had like I was telling Sarah earlier, like I have hypoparathyroid problems right now where I can't keep weight on, which is nuts. I've lost 30 pounds since the brain injury.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a woman, I'm not unhappy, but again, like holding on to weight is still important, and temperature regulation. We were talking about that actually gets frustrating because
Right.
like you go from hot to cold and you can't get a constant. So yeah, and the lack of knowledge and information. I did work with his name's Dr. William Pocatello, and he recommended I do some. It's not hyperbarics. It's actually oxygen deprivation, where you exercise under oxygen deprivation and then oxygen rich, and then and you kind of go back and forth. And there's different programs for different types of injuries. And when you're dealing with the brain, he has a very intelligent dietitian that works with this, and we worked with that. And I would also say that was a great, like I know, and that might have been part of my physical change too. I did notice a huge physical change doing that oxygen deprivation study, but I did notice my memory improving with it. So when you brought this program up, it was like it rang so true with what I was already doing with the oxygen deprivation to turn into this oxygen-rich environment and therapeutic environments. That
Right.
yeah. So, do you have anything you'd like me to add about it?
Well, you're talking about the nurse practitioner program and being busy and how that was important. I think all of us kind of run into that. I mean, if you're a first responder in any way, in the medical field in any way, a soldier, we do these jobs because we want to help people and because we have to stay busy.
Yes.
I would
Absolutely.
lose my mind if I didn't have something to do.
Yeah.
And, my wife and my children have said, oh, well, you don't need to work. You're not in a position where you have to go to work every day. So why are you doing all this stuff? And it's because I have to keep going. I have to keep going mentally.
Right.
The other day, I had an experience that I hadn't had to this extent before. We were talking about memory. I was on my way to the school where my wife works, and it's a half mile from the house. I got in my truck, I drove over there, I got lost. I wound up circling the blocks 3 or 4 times. And this, I've lived in this house since 2008.
Right.
I know exactly where that school is. It's pretty much a straight line, straight back. I don't know how I got lost.
For just a moment. Yeah.
Yep. And I had to stop and think about where I was, and I was looking at street signs, and I was reading the street signs, but I wasn't processing.
Right. Like disconnect was there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so from a traumatic brain injury standpoint, I hear a lot of those stories. People have just those blank spots where you just lose everything for a minute. Have you experienced much of that?
I haven't. I mean, yes. Like I will for the first probably 2 years. Their conversations were frequently repeated, and and like regaining some skills were there. I didn't have to retrain a lot, but there were a couple of things that obviously memory, I had to retrain myself. But no, there's a lot of things I don't remember the accident. I was headed from Pocatello to Blackfoot South. The last thing I remember is the Chubbuck underpass. So, I don't know. I remember them cutting me out of the car and me saying, that hurts. And then like, I know, but we're going to help you. And then I remember them asking my husband saved in my phone as super sexy man I'd like to have sex with. And they asked who to call. And I do remember telling them that, and they all got a good laugh in the ambulance and they called him. That's about all I remember. I remember being in the ER and them putting they were COVID era. They were trying to cover me with a mask, and my ear was actually, like I was cut from here to here, which is how we know there's temporal lobe memory impairment. But my daughter freaked out on them for trying to put a mask on a ripped off ear, which is fair. She wasn't wrong. And I remember finally in the ICU, it was probably day 2 or day 3. So there's tons of memory impairment around the actual brain injury. And then, yes, any type of stress, my memory that was the first thing that would go. I did have good recall I've always had good location recall, so I haven't had too much problem there. But holding conversations was probably the hardest part. And then, facial recognition has changed a ton. That's probably my biggest one, is like my facial recognition is gone. And like I said, that was almost a bragging point 20 years ago. So, 5 years ago it was a bragging point, and now it's not.
Right.
Now,
have you noticed with the facial recognition, I hear this story a lot, is a lot of people with TBIs and PTSD both, their facial recognition is very location oriented. If you see somebody at a spot over and over again,
yes,
you recognize them, but if they're out of that environment, you couldn't pick them out of a lineup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, like if I see you in clinic and I see you consistently in clinic, I'm going to associate you with the clinic. If I see you in Walmart, I'm probably not going to say hi. Yeah. I actually tell people that a lot. Like if I don't say hello to you, it's nothing personal. It's a lack of recognition of person, location, and facial. Like I knew you before. I really don't struggle with people I knew before, but I had to know them, not just like not an acquaintance, but at the level that like we've known each other. But if it was an acquaintance level, that recognition is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that puts you into, we have to explain ourselves a lot,
Ugh.
which is frustrating.
Yeah. I do see a lot of grace. I actually, because I'm in a patient population caring for a lot of unwell people, there's so much grace in that area. Church members frequently do struggle with the fact that I don't recognize them in settings. I definitely don't connect names and faces. Absolutely not. Like they'll tell me their name and I'll be like, I do need like location's important. Where do we know each other from? And then if I can associate that, that's way better. And I'm a very visual person, so if you could visualize it, even better. But yeah.
And I know one of the coping mechanisms I had to adopt was, I have the same problem. If the other night when I got lost, I walked into the school and I was doing video and photo and sound for the play, and this lady walks up to me and she starts talking to me and I had no idea who she was, and I see her 3 or 4 times a week. She's one of my bankers, so I go and deposit stuff. I see her.
Right.
I literally had no idea who she
She
was.
wasn't at the bank.
Right. And so I go back into the bank after the play was over, and I see her, and she starts talking to me about the play, and it's, oh,
There it is.
okay.
Yeah.
But talk about frustrating.
Yeah.
And for me to kind of combat that, what I've started doing is putting people's pictures in my phone by their names.
Yes.
And that way, at least when my phone rings, it's like, okay, this is why I'm supposed to know this person.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a big deal. Like if someone shares their contact info, the picture matters. I agree.
Yeah. And I usually have to put a long explanation too. As a building inspector, I know a lot of realtors.
Sure.
And so everybody, it's like this person's name, realtor, Pocatello, stuff like that.
I do put where I know them from, like, the company or whatever. But I haven't thought about that. But once they're close enough to me to share phone numbers, I usually have a pretty good recognition. I don't give my phone number out too much.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty, and honestly, I don't know if it's a healthy coping mechanism, but isolation is one that I've used, because if I can isolate, I don't get overstimulated. My memory I don't get exhausted. My brain doesn't hurt. Like, I isolate a lot. I mean, I used to be way more social. I'm sure you guys could probably have seen a change.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And even trying to schedule this, it was a challenge, and I understand that better
do.
than most people. I hate it when my phone rings.
Oh yeah, mine's never on.
Yeah,
No.
it's. But I've people that I've known for years. I have a friend that I've known longer than I've known my wife, and there are times when he'll call me 4 or 5 times in a row, and I can't answer the phone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's why I'm not sad. I'm not scared.
I just don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a block that's there that's never been there before.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And yeah, my wife and my kids, I answer the phone.
Yep.
And
If the kids are lucky, for me.
yeah. And then our foundation's administrator, I answer the phone for her. Kind of have to though. So, but there's so many other people. I totally understand that that isolationism and the avoidant behavior. Keep yourself out of situations that you don't have to go into. Walmart is its own special hell for me.
Amen.
Right.
I don't go to Walmart. I mean, I've gotten in there twice since my brain injury, I think. Mm-hmm. And we used to go in there just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a laugh,
I remember seeing you guys this years ago. Spatial memory. It was Walmart. It was almost midnight, and
Shocker.
you guys were in Walmart, and
Yeah.
that's when I do my shopping, is trying to stay away from other people, and I don't sleep much anyway. But yeah, I remember seeing you guys in there, and you seemed to be, just
Goofing off?
goofing off. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
The other thing is Pocatello, we do actually probably go to Ridley's or Fred Meyer more. But Blackfoot Walmart was what we used, but Here or in Pocatello, it's different. But
Right.
still, I do at Walmart. Ugh, no thanks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have gone into the garden area. I've gone in the garden area more than twice, but it's a little different for me. I like
Yeah.
the garden area. That is a great coping mechanism. If I have the energy capacity, I love to garden.
Really?
Oh yeah, and the whole grounding, connecting with the earth philosophy. I do believe that there's energy that comes from that work.
Right.
Once you give to the earth, it's giving back, and I've always loved it. But it's been a lot more difficult with the brain injury. Just the capacity to do things. I think my fatigue is. I don't know if it's worse, but it's heavier, I guess is what I would say. It's
Right.
heavier. And so that I still do it, but I'm more limited in how much I can do.
Yeah.
So, but I still love it. Gardening is a great coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Pulling something out by the root. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, and we all have our coping mechanisms, and I also know a lot of us struggle with the same issues once we find a good coping mechanism. Sometimes with the TBI, with the physical problems that we have, or with the PTSD, we have to change those coping mechanisms. I mean, for me, bass, I picked that up for an anniversary party
Right.
for
and
my
you
wife.
did phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yes.
But I'm to a point right now where I'm always in chronic pain since this happened, since the last
I can't
bit
even
happened.
imagine. Yeah.
But right now, over the past year, my shoulders are trashed, and so I can play for 10 minutes at a time at the most,
And then
because and it's not even the weight, because the bass is heavier than like a lot of the guitars
it
are.
is, yes.
And it's not the weight, it's the actual movement in my shoulder,
repetitive
and
motion.
it's not much, right?
But it matters.
And so I've talked to a lot of guys that have these coping mechanisms, and they've worked well for them, and then they have to change it because something in life or physical pain.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you find that mechanism, and then
you
you
lose
have to
it.
change something else.
Yeah.
And I've noticed too, if this may have happened to you, let us know, but there's this kind of hidden desire to avoid anything that's going to remind you of the incident. Even without memory of it, because some people who are in car accidents avoid cars or never drive again.
Right. I took a while to drive. It took 6 months probably. Yeah. It took me about 6
Oh, wow.
months. Yeah. And then driving past, it was at the Fort Hall exit. Driving past it, never looked to, it rolled all the way from, so northbound, I rolled all the way to southbound on the other side, almost back down into the other barrel. So ever looking over to that spot, I don't. I mean, I do now, but for probably 2 or 3 years, I just,
Wow.
yeah. So I had a lot of avoidant. I didn't go back to Blackfoot South after the accident. I don't think I could have, at least for a couple years. And at that point in time, I mean, Blackfoot South, I had only worked there for a couple months, and employees donated hours. I kept my insurance because of people at that facility. Like, what a great facility. If I could have stayed, if it had worked, I think I was very lucky to have what I had with that community. But I couldn't. It just didn't work. So.
Well, community is a big part of what we have to deal with, because we don't want to be around people a lot of times. Some of us do, but most of us don't. It's part of TBIs and PTSD. Hey, when we talk about this, so many people who have PTSD have a TBI, and so many of the TBI symptoms are similar to PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when it comes to coping and avoidance, it's pretty much the same thing that we all have to face and we all have to deal with. But the community part of it is a big, big thing. As much as we might not want to be around people, we have to have people to support us and people who understand us. And because, again, like me, you can't have people sneaking up on me at night. It's going to end poorly.
Right.
I have friends and family who they've modified their behavior around me.
Right.
And one of the things that can be frustrating too is, you're little. I'm not. When I get into a situation where I'm having a hard time, I'm told that I have a look of death on me.
I probably do too.
Or blank eyes. Yeah, stuff like that. not too long ago, somebody that I've known for 15 years, somebody who's had no problems letting me, be alone with their young daughter, working on their house, to go over there. Both, the parents and the husband didn't have any issue with me being home alone with the little child, or with the wife without the husband, or those kinds of things.
Right.
And so again, somebody I've known for a very long time and had a close personal relationship with said that I'm terrifying over the last year.
Damn.
And
That's devastating. I'm sorry.
right?
I mean, it's valuable to have the feedback, by all means. Being told how you've changed is nice to hear in some ways, but it's not who you are.
Right. I'm one of those guys, if somebody has earned a beating, I've got no problem giving it to them.
Right.
But as a general rule, I'm not.
No. Yeah.
I've never been in a fight in my adult life where it's, just
For fun.
Recreational fighting or whatever.
Me either.
I
Well, one.
I rarely ever yell at people.
Right.
It does happen, but yeah, noticing those changes, and for other people to actually say that they're seeing them. And I've had an interesting 2 years. It's been tougher than most, but to hear that, it was that hurt.
Yeah.
I'm glad she said it, and
Sure,
I'm glad
right.
she told me, and I don't hold it against her.
No, but it's just hard to hear. It's a gut punch a little bit. Not
Right?
intentional. She was trying to help.
Yeah, but how do you change that? How do you change? You've known me long enough to know that I'm absolutely not somebody that should be scary. I might look scary because I'm big.
Right, but
But-
that's not who you are.
Right.
How do you change that, though? You're right.
How do you change that perception?
I don't know. I honestly just say, well, like with the death stare or the, I feel like I'm just concentrated, but it doesn't look, I do look pretty mean. I agree. Like but because you're trying to cope with what's kind of, whatever's happened, right? With whatever's affecting you in that brain injury, you do have to kind of, you change how you do things, and yeah, you do kind of look different. I don't know. I did have a couple people during nursing school that say that, or during the nurse practitioner program, that no, I'm so that was before the brain injury. Nursing school, I got it anyway, so maybe it's just who I am. Like I just was intimidating. I'm an intimidating female. And in the NP program, I didn't actually get it as much. So I get it in work where people are like, "Are you mad?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just processing."
Right?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't get mad. I mean, I do at some people, but it takes a lot to really get me to react and be angry. Which honestly, that actually goes back to some PTSD stuff, right? If I don't react, other people aren't going to react as highly. But then with the brain injury on top of it, if I can mitigate my emotions, I'm going to do better. If I can mitigate your reactions, I'm going to do better. So I'm going to control the environment as much as I can. And so I'm not going to react like I maybe would have or other people do.
Right.
So
Yeah, and it's hard because most of us, we don't realize how much we've changed. We don't realize how our behavior and our changes in behavior have affected them. And when you hurt somebody that you love because of this, or because of the combinations, and I mean, from the medical field, the comorbid disorders,
Sure, yeah.
referred to a lot. So many of us have chronic pain, or TBIs. Very few people that have had a severe TBI don't have chronic pain.
absolutely, especially the headaches, right? And then the neck pain usually comes with it. In fact, it's actually been proven that if you've had any type of head or neck injury, you will naturally guard, and so you will naturally have more tension and more headaches and more. It just is a compounding thing.
Right. And that's one of the most diabolical things about this is
Compounding.
it's compounding. It changes all the time. And
Yeah.
I've woken up in the morning, more so lately than before, where I can't do anything. I can move, I can get something to drink, I can lay down, and that's about it. But I'm fairly non-functional.
Amen.
It
Probably the last 2-3 weeks, I would agree 100% with that statement. Like if I have to, I'm going to get up and do it, and I can do it. Like I can go to work and I can rock it. but then I get home and I'm done. That weight's right back on me, and I know it's there. And even like at work, like the last couple times I've worked, I'm like, this feels heavy. And normally, at least when I'm here, like I know I'm helping and I don't feel as heavy. But no, I felt heavy.
Yeah.
I have had a lot of stress. So, and you have too, right? And that's a big
bit.
deal. That is the part of the weight that comes with it, I think.
Yeah, and many of us can power through, but there's a price to be paid at the other end.
Right. Yeah, well, I have to devote a day of rest, probably once a week. Sometimes I can spread it out every 10 days, but usually I just have to put a day in there where there's literally no real stimuli, no real stress, I mean, the decision is to go to the bathroom, eat, and go back to bed, right? That's the decision making. What movie do I want to put on the TV?
Right.
Right. There has to be a day where I just...
And how irritating and frustrating is that you have to make a decision on
To sacrifice a day?
not only to sacrifice a day, but we limit what we're doing on those days. If we crash and burn and we're out and we have to take those days and we have to rest, most of us, we are making a conscious decision. Okay, am I going to get up and go to the bathroom? Am I going to get a drink? Because if I get a drink, I'm probably going to have to get up and go to the bathroom in 3 hours.
Right. And it sounds like a waste of energy.
Right. And I've had these moments where I was like, okay, where am I going to put the remote control? I don't want to have to reach for the remote for the TV.
Right here. Yeah, it's going to be right
So
here.
it's right here. And, with the dogs, they'll jump up on me and move the remote. And then I'm trying to figure out mentally where it went.
And that's like almost an anchor, right? Mm-hmm. Like you got to keep that anchor there.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Or the weight is nice. So even if I don't have the remote, the phone sitting on my chest, it's a nice feeling. I don't know why that is, but the weight is a good thing. Or I'm worse. I've always been this way where having something to listen to fall asleep, especially like a movie I've watched 100 times, golden. I will go to sleep so much better. Way worse now, probably 10 times worse.
Right.
Like if it's not playing, I usually don't sleep. But used to be I could fall asleep and then it would turn off and I'd be fine. Right. But now I have to wake up and turn it back on. Like there's got to be a familiarity. And actually just read a study on this. It's been proven multiple times that having that familiarity of like a series or a movie or something you've watched multiple times is comforting for somebody with that kind of anxiety. So it's not fair to the person I sleep next to because the TV isn't that healthy. So it's usually on the phone. Not always. He's pretty good to me. So.
Well, yeah, it's always weird when you hear the coping mechanisms because why would we have the same coping mechanism of putting something weighted
right there on the chest? Yeah.
I do it all the time, and until you said that, I hadn't really noticed that. But when I wake up in the morning, if I come out and sleep on the couch for a few hours, when I wake back up, I've either got my phone or the TV remote right there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. I would love to tell you. I assume, like do you know who Temple Grandin is? The autistic. Okay, so she's an autistic woman. Studied cattle and the cattle guards that when they inoculate them, they like hug the. She created a human hugging machine because she was autistic and didn't want human hugs, but still wanted the sensation. So she created a hug machine. I assume it has something similar to that. Like the sensation is just calming. The weight is just calming, like the weighted blankets or something like that. Right. It's just I don't know, but I do it all the time.
Have you tried the weighted blanket?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I have a weighted blanket that sleeps next to me, and we snuggle, so he's my weight. No, but because of the temperature regulation, I've never really desired it. I think I need something light and that moves easy, and I move around a ton. And I think I believe, I guess I should try it, but I believe it would be exhausting to try to shift it all night long with my body moving. That's more the autoimmune disease, like my hips and my knees and my shoulders. I have to sleep like this a lot because my elbows ache. And so like that movement with a weighted blanket just sounds exhausting to me. But have you tried one?
I have. I don't use them anymore because my shoulders are shredded. And one of the things I found is that when I try and move it at night, especially if I'm in that in and out of sleep phase, I grab it and pull it over, and then I pay the price all day long the next day because I've hurt my shoulder.
See, okay, that's what I was thinking. You just proved me right.
Yeah.
I don't have to try.
But otherwise, they're great.
I believe it.
They're fantastic. But yeah, I mean, you're pulling a blanket on yourself and you hurt yourself for the whole day. That's
right, but it's a reality.
It's right.
It's a reality for me too. Like I've pulled my shoulder with a light blanket. I can't, or moving a pillow wrong.
Right.
Or my neck goes out, or yeah, I'm not willing to. It's time.
It wasn't my phone. So yeah, and that's part of the coping mechanisms is where are those trade-offs? A weighted blanket's great. There's a lot of benefits there, but the price you pay for hurting your shoulders
Not there.
and yeah, you get a good coping mechanism and then it changes.
Right.
And then
Yeah, you talked about playing the bass. It's so really funny because bass players are actually not easy to come by. And we discussed it before the brain injury. We talked about it. Like, I was like, maybe I should learn to play bass. And he was like, no, you can't. He wasn't being mean. First of all, I'm not very musically inclined. Like, I can keep a beat, which is probably why the bass would be okay with me. But he was like, you can't hold a bass. Like, I don't mean him. He doesn't mean mean. He's not wrong, though. Like, the same thing, too. That motion, I think I would complain. I would just whine about shoulder and elbow pain all day. So, and probably my wrist, too. So I was like, that's probably true. I'll continue with the tambourine. That'll.
yeah, there you go.
That's all. Shake my hips. That's all.
Have
I
you
got.
seen the U basses? They're,
Have I? He's nodding. Yes, he showed me them.
yeah, I have two, but yeah, I use them for travel, and they're really small. They're really light, but yeah, you're right. There aren't a lot of bass players out there. I think there's 4 of us in Idaho, probably. But did you know that I'm a better bassist than 50% of the bassists on the planet?
I believe
I
that.
can prove it. Watch this. It's kind of handy. See right there. I paid
Yeah,
the price.
I can feel it.
So, and Aaron's sitting right here next to us. He's off screen, but as
He's
a
not
musician,
judging.
he'll know this. So, check this out.
Yeah, you can do it.
I am better than 50% of most bassists being able to do that.
I actually believe it.
You're not using a pig.
Right? And watch this. I'm going to mix it up. This is going to get really crazy. 2 fingers back and forth.
See?
Yeah.
You're better than I am.
Now, yeah, everybody wants to be the singer or the guitarist and stuff like that. But yeah, even that, just that,
Pulled the shoulder out. Yeah.
oh, yes, it's terrible. And what I'm finding is one of my coping mechanisms for lifting stuff is I can still lift a tremendous amount of weight this way.
For the bice.
And if my arm goes out at all and I have any weight on it, the pain is excruciating. So I'm finding that I'm modifying my behavior substantially in either the way I walk, the way I stand. Scuba gear is one of those other things. It's heavy. There's, you've got steel or aluminum compressed air. Just that in and of itself is heavy.
Right, and then
So as I've been dealing with this, it's, how do I get into the water? My friend Kat, we talked about, Kat's got to be in her 70s. And the last time we went on a trip, she was my dive buddy. And this little old lady, she doesn't look old, but this little lady is schlepping my scuba gear for me because I couldn't do it.
oof.
How rough do you think that is for somebody like me?
Right. Yeah, you've lifted 2 people at once, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's
And I was a soldier. I'm a search and rescue diver. I do stupid, crazy things all the time. And for me to have this small lady carrying my gear for me, it was horrifying. And, you're off in the tropics and the dive masters and the boat crew, they don't know you. And so they see somebody that looks like me and
it looks like her.
then looks like her and she's moving my stuff for me. And that's another thing. I don't know if you've experienced this. So I have a disabled parking placard for my truck.
As you should.
Yeah, and I don't use it unless I need it.
Absolutely.
So I
It's there
pulled
for
in.
a reason, though.
Yeah, I pulled into the courthouse a few months back, and I actually had a guy confront me, and he was saying that there was nothing wrong with me and that I shouldn't be parking there, and he really got into me, and I just kind of ignored him. I said, "Hey, my doctor signed the paperwork. I'm not going to explain to you what's wrong with me."
None of your damn business.
Right? But I think we all experience that in some way too.
I do get I've never had anyone harass me over my handicap placard. I can't tell you why. Maybe and I've had it actually longer than the brain injury just for the autoimmune condition. And that was just strictly like, okay, on bad days when you can't carry your body, use that. And my doctor that wrote it, he's a great human being. But I've used it way more since the brain injury. Nobody's ever confronted me about it. I do get that you don't look sick. Oh, at least it's not cancer. Don't say that to me. There's a lot of studies out there for cancer. There's not a lot for ankylosing spondylitis. There's a lot of support out there for cancer. There's not for brain injuries. I'm by no means saying that I wish I had cancer, but please don't tell me at least it's not cancer. That one gets my blood boiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. My body's slowly killing itself. Don't tell me it's not cancer. Like, it's okay. And the brain injury on top of it, like, no thanks.
And that's one of the things I've faced over the years is I've had, I had a sister-in-law, and she said, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Every time I see you, you're fine.
You're welcome.
But you know what? You don't see me when I'm not fine because I don't leave the house.
Great. I batteried up for this event. Yeah, like I just slept 14 hours so I could be here. You're welcome that I'm normal and happy and healthy.
Right.
I do actually think that my family's been pretty good about understanding that. I think that like socially people don't get it, but my family has been pretty reasonable. Like even to like parents, siblings, nieces, nephews and stuff like that, they're all pretty good about it with me. But beyond that, I can see people saying there's nothing wrong with you. I don't really care.
And when people say it to me, it doesn't bother me. When I
It's wrong though. People
it's wrong.
shouldn't feel the
certainly.
right to
But
weigh in.
yeah, I get upset when somebody does that to somebody else who I know is struggling.
Right. I do get upset when people say it's not cancer. At least it's not cancer. But
Yeah.
but yeah, for people I care about, I'll probably die on that hill long before for somebody else before I will for myself too.
Well, and so many of us, we don't even know what's going on with us sometimes. I was
We have to be told.
so I was a really good swimmer in high school. I'm a good swimmer, period. But I teach swim lessons for competitive swimmers, and so I'm teaching this student. I got private lessons with her, and so my event was the butterfly, and
My weakest event, but
it is for most people.
that's a hard swim.
If you've got long arms and timing, the fly's easy.
That's good to know. I did not ever have that one.
But so I'm in the pool and I'm trying to show her these strokes, and I'm just falling. My lower body's just falling down. And I was like, what is going on? I couldn't figure it out. And I tried a few weeks in a row. I was like, wow, this is embarrassing because,
I'm a coach.
yeah, and I'm trying to demonstrate this, but I physically can't do it. And so the pool that we were using, very, very warm pool, warmer than most. And so after a few weeks of this, I went into the doctor and told me I broke my back. And no, to this day, I cannot tell you how I broke my back.
Right. Just
But, I mean, I've got
Repetitive.
lidocaine patches on my lower back right now.
so you can,
Just to help function. But yeah, we don't know what we're doing to ourselves. We're focusing on so many other things.
the distraction.
Right.
Well, and the giving, like the giving is I think like you said, it's a management of the PTSD or the, and honestly, who we started out being anyway. You started out in search and research, search and research. Yeah, I can't even pull the words. See that the word pull. Yeah, that happens a lot. I usually walk around words. So whatever that search and rescue thing is, right? I'll walk around it and describe it, and people. What is that? That's a game you can play where you describe stuff and people guess what you're trying to describe. I play that game a lot. But anyway, so we started out as givers. I started out in healthcare. So it's part of who we are, and it's part of the distraction, absolutely. It's also good to be able to look somebody, I recently talked to somebody who had a traumatic brain injury, and he was talking about muscle loss. And I was like, well, absolutely, like 30 pounds of weight. And I was mostly muscle at the time anyway, and so I know what it's like to lose a lot of muscle mass. It's infuriating. And to the coping mechanism that changed, the gym was a huge coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Now the gym's taxing. The workout at home sometimes is way better, and it's nothing what it used to be.
Yeah.
10 pounds instead of 30 pounds. So yeah, you just gotta. And how do you take that assault to the ego?
Right. Oh, it's hard. And everybody reacts differently too. I mean, so 2 years ago is when we started the foundation. We started it January 1st. The day before, I got a call from a friend saying, hey, there's this kid. He's been missing for almost a month now in the American Falls Reservoir. The ice is coming in. Probably got a day to do this. Can you help? And so I went out there and we did all the nerd work. And like I said, people have been looking for him for a month. We spent half a day collecting all the data. We had him out in a matter of hours the next day. And we're experienced. All of us that were involved were pretty experienced in this kind of thing. That didn't bother me at all. A few months later, I went to Horseshoe Bend, and that was a 24-year-old. He'd been in the water for a week, and that was gruesome, but it didn't bother me. 6-year-old that was on a boat without a life jacket on. Had disappeared. The people on the boat, the adults, didn't go anywhere. I got out there, looked down, the water was crystal clear. It's like right there. That shredded me because the other two, one is kid duck hunting, tragic, yes, but he wasn't doing anything stupid. He was walking in, shin deep water and just happened to step into the channel of the river. I could have done it.
Right.
Any of us could have done it. No matter how experienced, dumb luck.
Right.
The other one, kid jumping off of a bridge. The water was going too fast. It was going fast enough that I didn't dive it. I used different methods for recovery that day. But again, tragic, dumb accident. The other one,
The child.
all of the adults on that boat didn't have that kid in a life jacket. It doesn't matter if the 6-year-old can swim. Put him in a life jacket.
You're on a boat. It's a law. Yeah.
And kid had probably been in the water an hour before anybody figured.
But he was gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was actually my uncle that I was talking about. His last dive was a 9-year-old in Soda Springs Reservoir there. And that's what he was like. This one was just, it got me.
Yep.
It was too much. That one tore me up. That was his last dive. So yeah, that was a search and rescue dive. He still continued to dive, but he
Right.
didn't search and rescue dive.
Well, working in the medical field, there's so many of us that, whether or not search and rescue, whether or not it's the military, you can see all kinds of terrible things, all kinds of gruesome things, and be fine with it. It just doesn't bother you. You process it, you move on. My youngest son's a cop. He had to do CPR on somebody his first week on the job. Stuff like that happens. Most of us process it fine. What is hard for people to see from the outside is there are some things that get us, and it could be half as bad from the outside to something we faced 100 times.
Right.
But that one time gets us, and it pushes us over the edge.
Yeah. Well, a kid who had really no. If it's neglectful is what it feels like, and to know that there was that child that didn't have the authority to make the choice for themselves is what's
Yeah.
hard. I think I would struggle with it as well. The adult choices, adult consequences.
Yeah.
But that was adult consequences to a child. That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's
and
hard to see.
Well, and I don't tell specific war stories very often, but I've seen so many terrible things over the years, body shredded, and those things don't bother me either. The thing that wakes me up at night is, it was my last deployment, or second last deployment. We were out doing stuff, and this family comes up to us, and they have this kid that's just covered in 3rd-degree burns. And
Burns are hard too.
yeah. And so we, of course, as American soldiers, had better medical technology than the locals did. So I had my medic treat this child and took him back onto the forward operating base, processed the kid through the hospital. I don't know if the kid lived or died. What I do know is that what had happened was they boil goat milk, cook most things in goat milk, and somehow boiling goat milk had got dumped on this child. Did not sound like anybody did it intentionally. It's just an
Sure.
accident thing.
Grab the handle or something. Yeah.
But that stays with me. When I close my eyes and go to sleep, and if I'm having a really rough time, that's the one that comes back. That's the one that I see.
I see burns too a lot. Yeah. I can sew somebody up and not care, but burns are a whole. Like I worked with a young lady that, in the moment of a pan catching on fire. She was heating up Grace and it caught on fire. She grabbed it and ran outside and threw it in the snow. And she's like, I don't know what I was thinking. That was stupid. Because she burned her whole hand. I still remember what her hand looked like. And I mean, I've sewn up probably 100 people at this point in time, and I still remember her burns.
Right.
Yeah. Because burns are hard. They're just a whole different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pressure sores are pretty hard too. Like, oh, yeah, I remember a lot of pressure sores.
But yeah, stuff can push us over the edge and make those experiences worse. Or 20 years later, you can have something happen. One of the war stories that I have told, use it as an example while I'm teaching, is so 37 left feet. So one day, we didn't see it happen. We were moving from one spot to another, and somebody had taken a dump truck full of homemade explosives and went under an overpass on a major traveling artery and blew it up. And we didn't know if they were American soldiers, if they were Iraqi soldiers. We didn't know who these people were. But at the time, we'd been giving a lot of our vehicles and old uniforms to the Iraqis. So we saw a lot of our military equipment there, and so we treated it like they were Americans. And the 37 left feet, that's our body count, because we found 37 left feet, and that was more
Pieces.
than any of the other body parts we were able to find.
Yeah, that is hard.
And it doesn't bother me. That, it was gross, it was tragic. It turned out that they were all Iraqis. But it was gruesome enough that it wouldn't really matter who they were to see something that horrifying.
Right.
And it's so weird, the things that bother us and the things that'll catch up to us. And I think that's why with a group like ours, whether cops, firefighters, emergency room staff, we have this an inordinately high rate of suicide.
Right.
Military is the worst. Thousands per year in the United States, hundreds for firefighters, which is kind of, would have thought the firefighters would be higher than cops, but
I can see both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cops have to deal with like the worst side of people. I
Right.
can imagine. Like firefighters are fixing problems. Cops are in the thick of it. I can imagine what they see is disheartening.
yeah. And when you're a cop, you're typically not seeing people on their best day.
Absolutely not.
But over the years, I've been kind of tracking this and watching this, kind of seeing how it evolves. But a lot of times when you hear the stories about the suicides and the things that have actually pushed somebody over the edge, it's typically something that happened way, way before they actually make the attempt or actually take their own life. And then there's something else that triggers it. And so many times it's something that most people consider very benign and very just innocuous.
Right, but the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's really no way for any of us to know what that's going to be. Not only just for us, but for for the rest of the community.
Right.
What's that thing going to be? What's going to push us over the edge? Right. And so many of us, that's what keeps us awake when we're dealing with each other.
Yeah.
And I think working together as a group, doing stuff like we're doing with Foundation, doing stuff like these videos, it's no matter what I do, I can never explain to you what my Army experience was like.
Oh, gosh.
And you could not explain to me what your medical experience is like. They're just not words, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And even if we had lived the same experience, we wouldn't tell it the same way.
Right. We wouldn't process it the same way. So we can understand it as a community together to an extent.
Right. And be there.
And be there. And we know for the most part what to do to help and at least not make things a lot worse. But getting the rest of the community, our friends, our family, our loved ones, our children, our wives, our husbands, how do you explain that to them? How do you sit down and, when you've completely lost your mind and you're ready to start throwing things and you know that you're out of control, you know that you're having a problem, but you can't stop yourself.
I don't know. I really just the other day was like, I'm just not okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I'm just not okay.
Right.
I don't know how to put this into words. It's just, I'm just not okay today.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a rough year.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting here trying to process it all, and I'm just not okay today.
Yeah.
And I will get pretty withdrawn. I mean, and
Right.
definitely that's probably very new. I'm a pretty outgoing person, and for him to have to deal with that, like,
Yeah.
complete withdrawn is probably like, this is not the person I married. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you explain that other than like, this is where I'm at.
Well, I mean, even to get you here, we've talked about this. You said you wanted to do it to help and share your story, but it's been a challenge.
Yeah, and the stress of this last year has been, like I said, wow.
Yeah.
Would have never anticipated what I've been through in this last year. So, and like as we said, stress is a whole nother learning curve when you've had a brain injury. You don't even know how to process stress anymore. So,
Yeah.
sleep is my processing mechanism. Just go to bed.
Yeah.
Reset.
Well, so many of us too. Crazy things happen to us. Part of the reason we do these things is because we are outgoing. We engage. If something bad's happening, we engage, and that's why we have so many of these crazy experiences.
That's fair.
But
I've had some crazy social experience. Yep.
but really, I mean, how do you deal with that at the end of the day with all the nonsense that goes on? And I've heard people say it about you. I've heard people say it about me, and other people that are kind of in our group of these kinds of people. How do you deal with all the crazy with all the bad stuff that happens to you? And
Compartmentalize.
yeah, I mean, most of us. My wife doesn't understand this stuff. I'm sure your husband doesn't understand it in the same ways. When something catastrophic happens, I'm like, yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna figure out how to solve that problem and move on to the next one, instead of freaking out. There's a lot of people. That's their mechanism.
Well, and like get it under control. I do tend to be like, it'll probably work itself out.
Right.
He's actually that way though too. Like I think you've probably picked up on the. I maybe am less anxious about stuff. I don't know. I've always been very much like, well, it's gonna happen the way it's gonna happen. We're gonna behave the best we can behave in the situation. Like I said, like if I can control my reaction, it'll mitigate your reaction. It'll mitigate. Everybody will just be calmer if I'm calmer. Not always, but generally I try to be that person of like, if I don't react, that mitigates a lot. So anyway,
do you think it's the control?
oh, absolutely.
So
I think it's control for me. Like if I can control me, I can control the environment. That comes with an abusive relationship though. Like if I controlled myself, he was more controlled, right?
Right.
And so then if my reaction was mitigated, I wasn't going to get hurt. Absolutely. Like if I controlled my lip, if I controlled my response. But I mean, I've used that in a lot of different scenarios. Like I think I use it in pretty much everything I do.
Yeah.
If I tailor what I have to say, when I have to say it, if I think it's going to matter, if it's going to impact someone in the right way, sure, I'll use it. If I don't think it has value, I'm not going to put it out there.
Yeah.
So.
And I think most of us, if we, how shall I say this? If it's something that we can affect change in, we're processing. We're like, okay, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna move on. We're gonna do something.
Yep.
The things that you can't change and that you can't control, that's what eats most of us.
Yeah. Or understand, right? Like I can't
Yeah.
understand why it went that way. I can't understand why my last year went the way it went, and that is what bothers me the most. Like who cares at the end of the day? I've grown from it. I'm a better person now. I'm smarter, I'm stronger. I'll be more effective in things that I do. But why did it go the way it went? Like it shouldn't have gone the way it went, and it's stupid, but
Yeah.
yeah, that I would 100%. That's that's the revolving conversation I probably have. Like
Yeah.
why?
Absolutely. Well, we are talking a lot about our spouses, so why don't we take a break and drag them into this?
Absolutely. They deserve to be part of this.
They do. All right, I'm gonna shut the camera off. We can all use the restroom and whatnots. Oh.